Hello, or welcome back if you've watched my videos before. This morning's job is bringing the ewes and lambs up. Now we have been weighing them, so we have a batch which are ready to go to market. If you watched my last video, you'll know that we had a couple and we didn't think it was worth heading up to Bentham, which is about an hour and a half away, to take them to market. But a week on, the lambs have had some sun on their backs, a change in pasture, and we have some ready for market. So we'll be going through again, weighing any if we think they're looking big enough, ready to take in a couple of days. So if they've grown in the last half a week or so. We will also be trimming any ewes which have dirty bottoms. So a really important thing to be doing at this time of year. It's obviously just starting to get a bit warmer, but we are still getting kind of mugginess at times. So that means that we could have maggots. Now we did actually have one which we spotted with maggots a few days ago. Very interestingly, this is the third year she's had them, and she'll actually be going as a cull ewe this year. We think she must be prone to them in some way, whether she sweats more, whether it's the smell of her, no idea, but she will be going to cull because, well, one, she didn't get in lamb last year, and two, the maggots, it's just completely unfeasible for us and for her. Maggots are an awful thing for them to get, so obviously we avoid it wherever possible, but this one unfortunately has had them 3 times. Now's probably a good time to mention what we do to prevent maggots. So it's about keeping them clean, keeping the ewes clean. We also shear them, so we'll be shearing in a couple of weeks, and slightly later down the line we also dip them, so that's basically covering them in a solution which repels flies and they don't like to go near the sheep. I mentioned keeping the ewes clean, so that's one part of what we do by trimming any poo from around their back end. However, one of the things that does happen is if ewes become sweaty, often maggots can start maybe under their shoulders, kind of from their tummy, kind of back leg area. So sometimes you can't do anything to stop that. And clipping kind of happens when it happens. For us, it's the end of May, and we wouldn't necessarily be looking to clip any earlier because of temperatures. If it's a bit chilly, and particularly this year, if we'd clipped earlier than that, we might have a few sheep which were a bit chilly. It's a really common misconception from people who maybe have no involvement in farming that clipping is in some way painful for the sheep. Sometimes people think that the sheep has to be killed to be shorn, but actually it's a pain-free procedure. When the weather starts getting hot, the sheep are absolutely grateful for it, and simply it's an animal welfare issue. If we didn't clip these sheep, then as I mentioned, we'd have problems with maggots, and also the sheep would just be overheating. Again, something which people may not know if they're not involved in farming is that actually shearing is a cost for us. So we don't make, well, we make a tiny bit of money off the wool, but that doesn't cover the cost of shearing. So quite simply, the only reason that we do it is for the animals' welfare. There's no financial gain in it for us whatsoever. In fact, it's a financial loss. Just here with the lamb, where we had to get the vet out in my last video, and you can see that there is a root there, and I'm slightly concerned. I think that could grow back, but it's clean, and I'm going to redress it on the vet's advice. First thing to do on there is some blue spray and just let that dry. I've got my expert lamb holder here with Nick. So we have a very similar bandage to the one I put on first time round before the vet came. However, I've used actually a nappy as padding, and then we've gone round with vet wrap and then just some agri tape just to secure it. So hopefully we'll check back in a couple of days, and yeah, he'll be doing well. There he is, happy enough. Just videoing my mum, who is dagging this ewe here. Now, she's not really filthy. However, it's good just to get that dirt off her back end. One, because of the potential issue that you may have with maggots, as I mentioned earlier, but also in preparation for clipping so that the full fleece which is coming off is clean. One, that's nicer for the lads who are coming to clip, but two, actually when we're wrapping the fleeces and sending them off, they don't want dirty fleeces. Well, it's definitely a day of mixed emotions. I'm just bedding up the trailer, getting ready to take our first batch of spring lambs to market. So on the one hand, obviously it's the culmination of our work, of the lambs growing and being reared, which is a really proud feeling to see your stock looking at its absolute peak condition. But obviously, ultimately these lambs are going to slaughter, and people obviously have a varying spectrum of opinions on this. But for us, we wouldn't have sheep on the farm, livestock on the farm at all if they didn't have a purpose. And sometimes you do have to be quite matter of fact about these things. You can be as matter of fact as you want, but it doesn't take away from the fact that sometimes these days are a bit difficult, and sometimes they are a bit emotional as well. Something though which for me makes these days easier is the fact that I know how well our sheep and our lambs are looked after from the moment they're born. They are treated, well, just to the highest welfare standards. They're out grazing, they have a chance to come out indoors if they need to in bad weather, and when they're younger, always access to food and water and shelter. And yeah, I mean, it's maybe one of those cringe things to say, but I know that they couldn't have had a better life during their time with us. Just bringing the ewes and lambs a couple of fields closer to the shed, so I'll split the lambs off through our handling system in the shed. But yeah, I'm just moving them slightly closer so that when I do separate them, they haven't, you know, come across 3 fields. So it's just another way of keeping them more relaxed and settled. So move a couple of fields, settle, then a bit later they'll move to the shed. Well, that's the cull ewes and the spring lambs dropped off at Bentham auction. Really smooth and easy journey, no hold-ups, and everything came off the trailer looking absolutely spot on, just as when we left the farm, which is always really, really nice to see. Now, I would have really liked to stay and watch the stuff being sold. However, not quite sure when it'll end up going through the ring, and just before I left this afternoon, I had an email from BBC Breakfast, and all being well, I'll be on in the morning. So obviously this is filmed before, so might be able to catch up. I might put something on my Instagram. But yeah, tomorrow morning, as it stands, as I film this, they've asked Lizzie and I to go on and well, talk a bit about mental health awareness. The farm that we're going to is up in Cumbria, so it'll be quite an early start, and to be honest, I could probably just do with getting back. It's an hour and a half back, and I don't want to be leaving that journey too long, as much as I'd like to stay and watch. But Bentham have a live stream, so all being well, I'll be able to watch it from home. Back with Ralph now. One thing that I didn't do that much of was film the kind of drawing the lambs, penning them up, you know, kind of loading them, all of that sort of stuff. It literally just happens as you'd imagine. Lambs get separated, we put them down a bit of a race, so a bit of a narrow bit, and straight into the trailer, and it's really quite stress-free, to be honest, and they just pop straight on usually. But the reason I haven't filmed is because we were quite time conscious. I needed to get cracking, and I just didn't want to waste time by trying to film, so that's why you didn't get much of the actual kind of getting the lambs to market stage and off at the other end. Well, that is BBC Breakfast done. It is Mental Health Awareness Week, if you didn't know, so to be talking about mental health in rural and agricultural communities in this week is even more prominent. I think it's just so important to say, talk. Lizzie and I talk for our job. It's so helpful. Get away from the farm, as difficult as it is, and reach out to any of the charities that are out there. For our sister podcast, What I Know Now, Lizzie and I have teamed up with DPJ Foundation. They are based in Wales, but don't let that put you off. They offer support to anybody in rural and agricultural communities. And if you're not from Wales, they can refer you to other areas and other places for help. So it's so important to remember that there is help out there, and just talk. Just in the car on the way home, and it's just been a really idyllic farm to be hosted at, so yeah, thank you for having us there. But sometimes the idyllic countryside can hide a lot behind it, so yeah, the challenges are you know, they're massive in farming at the moment, but we'll get there. We've got to keep working on it. Well, it's back on the farm now and back to reality. Can't stay filming and getting dressed up for too long. So we are just trying to move Nala and her kids to the orchard, which is that field down there. So we'll see how this goes. Nick, you just love the goats, don't you? He loves them. I've had to put them in 20 times in the last 2 years. Not exaggerating at all. So yeah, hopefully they will be nice and contained in the orchard. We've got to get them there. You might remember that's George, who's the teaser tup, and then Big Dave's sitting down there. They've been in some of my other videos, but yeah, hopefully we will get them into this field and around the tups. I think George is wondering what on earth is going on. But yeah, get them into the field. Come on, Fern. Not like sheep. Oh no, George is thinking he's going back into that field. George is thinking he's going back into that field, but oh no. Missed actually getting them into the field because I was running. But they are in here now. Just trying to send them away a little bit. Oh, no, Nala! So we're in. And the first thing they're doing is devouring the hedge. Not the end of the world on the inside of this field here. But yeah, they are loving that. Even the babies. Even little Albion Fern. And the last job of my day is filling up the creek feeders for the lambs. Although I'm getting some help from number 4. Well, the first time she had a lamb, she was number 4, and she's kept that nickname ever since. But she is being so greedy. I think she thinks I'm here just for her. Absolutely desperate to be into this bag, aren't you? Hey, you monkey. And this one as well, she's decided she wants a couple as well. Got the other trough to do over there. Got a gathering around me now, all keen for some nuts. Plus, don't know if you can see just there, Ralph. Oh jeez, this is trying to rub me over. But yeah, there he is. Can you see him? Just laying in the grass. So well behaved. He's so good. Very lucky to have him. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you as always for watching, and if you enjoyed the episode, please do like and subscribe to my channel.